senior investment consultant here at Mass Mutual. And what that really means is I really help clients really plan for their retirement and to help them overcome their fear of investing by providing them financial education and guidance. You know, the way that I simply look at managing money, not easy, but the way I view it is a budget is really telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. So if you really think about that, that means it's important that you understand that you have control over your money, and setting up a budget, you know, doesn't have to be as frightening as you may think. That it's important to kind of guide that budget. You take control of that budget, account, you know, for every dollar for the most part that you have coming in. And so it really starts there. And in terms of really saving and investing and donating, and those are the things that I preach, and you've heard me say this to my children, that there's basically 4 things that you can do with your money. And I teach them that you have options versus really one way of which most of us do, of handling our money, which is spending. And so I do that so that they understand they have choices, and that, you know, you can allocate different percentages to different areas in your life. So again, budgeting is key, because if you don't allocate, you know, tell your money where to go, the money's going to tell you where to go. And that's what most folks, you know, in their household ends up with, blowing their budgets because they didn't really take control of it. Well, first of all, you know, it's important for folks to understand, like, why is it important to invest? So, because they're not going to invest until they understand the importance of it. And typically, investing is for the longer term. Because one thing that you and I may have in common is the fact that we may want to retire someday. So that's really, the whole retirement planning is really the key. So if they have bought into the fact that they want to retire, and that they need to have some sort of vehicle to get there, that's where I start. Number one, believing that that's, you know, setting that goal. And in terms of actually investing, a lot of this is really understanding that there's a cost to waiting, and how, you know, compound interest works. If you wait too long, not that you won't be able to retire, but you won't have it perhaps enough money when you get to retirement, you know, to actually do the things that you want to do. So you got to really, it's simpler than many people think. You got to really write down your objectives and goals in terms of what is it you want to do in retirement, if that is one of your goals. And then in terms of investing, it's important to kind of read various materials around what does it mean to actually invest. That means, for instance, what's a stock, what's a bond, kind of understanding the differences, and that stocks is ownership in a company, and understanding why companies actually decide to go public to want to even share stocks with you. And that's because they want to raise money. So when you understand that concept of a company wants to raise money, if I invest, I now impart ownership in that money, in that firm, if you will, and I can actually, you know, see my money growing as that company grows. Yes, there's volatility where there's going to be some risk up and down, but the cost of waiting, and that's the key. If you know, there's a cost of waiting, so if you don't get in early enough, then, you know, you may not reap the full benefits. And then when you think about bonds, I like people to think that bonds is really loaning your money. You're still an investor, but you're loaning your money to, you know, an institution, whether it's a large institution or you may be loaning it to the government. So by you investing, they're taking your money, and they're taking that money, and they're going to, again, do whatever they need to do to build a school, to build bridges and roads, and they're going to pay you interest in return. And then at the end, at your maturity date, they call it, they're going to give you your money back. So in between, you're getting interest. So those are 2 ways to invest. I'm just giving you kind of like some basic terms, but reading about those terms and kind of understanding, and then think about the companies that you frequent every day, every week, you know, such as, I tend to go to Dunkin' Donuts. You know, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but I may get like a half a cup. I mean, I'm really, but that's something that, you know, that's a company that I frequent. Now, they were not public, so they were not a public firm in before 2011. They became a public firm. and they started out at $19 a share, and now they're over $50 a share. So the point is that that's a company that I must believe in if I'm going to go there every day and kind of frequent them and patronize them. So that's a company that you may want to look into and say, this may be something that I'm interested in. And you want to understand the management in the firm. You want to understand the people, the process, what's the objectives of the firm, and that may excite you. And then one would argue that they may like Starbucks better. So you compare and you say, maybe I want to invest in this company over this company because of various reasons. When I think about my friends of mine who have children who are going off to work, some of the benefits that your job will give you right off the bat, the fact that you get holidays and the fact that you get paid vacations and you get maybe a cell phone. I mean, those are benefits. But the one benefit that we tend to overlook are retirement benefits. So what I do tell them is that I want you to read about retirement benefits and what that does for you, because that's a key benefit that you have the ability now to take a portion of your money, not necessarily a lot, and actually invest in the retirement plan. And so back to the point about how do you do that and how do I teach my kids? I mean, a lot of times about the pancake story, it really is about my kids really love pancakes in general. And so the thing is they want to go to IHOP, right? Every weekend. So if I did that, and you have 4 of us, where you have my husband, myself, and my 2 children, if you multiply that, we end up not necessarily spending money just on pancakes, but you get the sausage and you get the eggs and everything. So, you probably spend about $12 to $13 a piece times 4, that can be almost $50 when you add the tip, onto the bill. However, one of the things that we realized immediately, if you just want pancakes, I can get you that. We can go to McDonald's, which is probably about $5 something for each of us, and that would cut the cost in half. Or we can actually go right to the frozen section at the Stop and Shop or one of the grocery stores, right, and cut that down just for a box, And then you ultimately, and I always realize this, I have a big box of pancakes in my pantry. All I needed was really eggs and oil. So the point there is that, you have to step down, it's really called step it down, our expenses. And I teach my kids that all the time. We use different examples where I kind of show them that you don't have to necessarily go to IHOP every weekend. Yes, IHOP is a choice and we can do it. But if you look at the amount of money that we're spending, let's say $50 times 4, that's $200, versus if we were to kind of like skin it down or reduce the expense. So it's all about reducing expenses and finding the money. And actually, I have a 10-year-old. My 13-year-old had a job. One of his jobs or his chores were to take all of the receipts that Dad and I, whatever we're spending on, to take our receipts at the end of the month and just add them up and like categorize it by company, wherever we're actually shopping. And now the 10-year-old took over. So the reason why I think that that's a great benefit is because, number one, he's learning how to just work with money and just, writing things down and organizing. But also he's asking us questions. He's saying, well, why are you guys going to CVS so much in the month? He's kind of asking all these, or he'll go look up what does CVS mean, or Mom and Dad, wait a minute, you guys are spending X at Stop and Shop? Really? Like, that's a lot of money. Or to him, he's like, why are you guys spending all this money? So I have these great conversations around the money. And then I'll teach him how, well, Daddy and I are going to reduce expense here. And I say to him all the time this is where we need, as a family, we need to do better in terms of our groceries. I always say that to him. We need to make sure that we go, maybe once every 2 weeks or something, and really, have a process in place where we eat up all the food before we go back. And that's a way to save. When I say, I wouldn't call it save, because I think we use that word loosely, but that's a way to take money from one area to put it on another. So when you ask me about some of the young folks who are coming into their work world, really, you can take a small amount, whether it's an extra $100 a week or $50 a week, and you can put it towards the goals that you're setting for yourself. Again, investing works for, it's money that just kind of works for you. It's not like you're just putting away, it's not going to earn anything. You're going to have ups and downs, but ultimately the goal is to get a return on that money. It's the same simple process. I mean, it's budgeting. It's just like our economy. We talk about the trillions of debt that we're in the world. I mean, everyone, it's just a matter of like not overspending, not spending more than you really have. And I think that we all get into this with the swiping of the cards, whether it's the debit card and the credit card. And what that's done, I think, is taken us out of the concept of a budget. Because how in the world could you actually budget very well if all you're doing is swiping? The question is, when you swipe, are you making note or of what that budget was? And not talking after the fact that when you went and looked at your statement. I'm talking before, because remember I talked to you about a budget is telling your money where to go. So what's happened is, because we're all electronic and we swipe and we move so fast, that's why I think most of the debt takes place. So in terms of entrepreneurs, it's the same concept. It's understanding that there's 4 things you can pretty much do with your money: save, spend, donate, and invest. And it's for you to determine what portion, how you're going to allocate that you can't spend it on everything. Okay? And so it doesn't change to me in terms of whether you have a business or not. Well, final word is that certainly you can do it. I'm telling you, find the money in the Dunkin' Donuts that you're going to every week. Literally cut back. I'm not telling you to take it away, but if you're spending, let's say you're spending weekly $50, take $25 and put towards if you're at a company, your company's retirement plan, who typically matches your dollar pre-tax, before taxes. So your money is able to go into investing and is growing before you pay in taxes. That's number 1. If you're not in a company, even if you took the $25 and put it into some vehicle that's giving you some interest, because compound interest is powerful. So my point is that you actually have more available to you than you realize, because things add up. And so you can do it. I mean, I would just inspire folks to understand that they can actually do this.